Amy Coney Barrett is an American lawyer, jurist, and former academic. She was born on the 28th of January 1972. She is currently serving as an Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States. She was sworn in on the 26th of October 2020 by fellow Justice Clarence Thomas at the South Lawn of the White House. Prior to her confirmation to the Supreme Court, she served as a judge on the United States Court of Appeals for the Seventh Circuit from 2017 to 2020. President Donald Trump nominated her to the Seventh Circuit on the 8th of May 2017, and the Senate confirmed her on the 31st of October 2017. Before and while serving on the federal bench, she has been a professor of law at Notre Dame Law School, where she has taught civil procedure, constitutional law, and statutory interpretation. On the 26th of September 2020, Trump announced his intention to nominate Barrett to succeed Ruth Bader Ginsburg on the Supreme Court of the United States. On the 26th of October 2020, the United States Senate voted 52 to 48 to confirm her nomination, with all Democrats opposed and all but one Republican in favor. Barrett was born in New Orleans, Louisiana. She is the eldest of 7 children and has 5 sisters and a brother. Her father, Michael Coney, worked as an attorney for Shell Oil Company, and her mother, Linda, was a high school French teacher and homemaker. Barrett has Irish and French ancestry. Her great-great-great-grandparents on her mother's side were from Ballyconnell, Cavan, Ireland, while there is also Irish blood among her father's ancestors. Her great-great-grandparents emigrated from France to New Orleans. Her family is devoutly Catholic, and her father has been an ordained deacon since 1982. Barrett grew up in Metairie, a suburb of New Orleans. She attended St. Mary's Dominican High School, an all-girls Roman Catholic high school, from which she graduated in 1990. She was student body vice president of the high school. After high school, Barrett attended Rhodes College, where she majored in English literature and minored in French. She graduated magna cum laude in 1994 with a Bachelor of Arts degree and was inducted into Omicron Delta Kappa and Phi Beta Kappa. In her graduating class, she was named Most Outstanding English Department Graduate. She then attended the Notre Dame Law School on a full tuition scholarship. She was an executive editor of the Notre Dame Law Review and graduated first in her class in 1997 with a Juris Doctor summa cum laude. Barrett spent 2 years as a judicial law clerk after law school, first for Judge Lawrence Silberman of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit from 1997 to 1998, and then for Justice Antonin Scalia of the U.S. Supreme Court from 1998 to 1999. From 1999 to 2002, Barrett practiced law at Miller, Cassidy, LaRocca Lewin, a boutique law firm for litigation in Washington, D.C., that merged with the Houston, Texas-based law firm Baker Botts in 2001. While at Baker Botts, she worked on Bush v. Gore, the lawsuit that grew out of the 2000 United States presidential election, providing research and briefing assistance for Baker Botts's representation of George W. Bush. Barrett served as a visiting associate professor and John M. Olin Fellow in law at George Washington University Law School for a year before returning to her alma mater, Notre Dame Law School, in 2002. At Notre Dame, she taught federal courts, evidence, constitutional law, and statutory interpretation. In 2007, she was a visiting professor at the University of Virginia School of Law. Barrett was named a professor of law in 2010, and from 2014 to 2017 held the Diane and M.O. Miller II Research Chair of Law. Her scholarship focused on constitutional law, originalism, statutory interpretation, and stare decisis. Her academic work has been published in the Columbia, Cornell, Virginia, Notre Dame, and Texas Law Reviews. At Notre Dame, Barrett received the Distinguished Professor of the Year award 3 times. From 2011 to 2016, she spoke on constitutional law at Blackstone Legal Fellowship, a summer program for law school students that the Alliance Defending Freedom established for inspiring a distinctly Christian worldview in every area of law. While serving on the Seventh Circuit, Barrett commuted between Chicago and South Bend, continuing to teach courses on statutory interpretation and constitutional theory.
Barrett was on Trump's list of potential Supreme Court nominees since 2017, almost immediately after her Court of Appeals confirmation. In July 2018, after Justice Anthony Kennedy's retirement announcement, she was reportedly one of 3 finalists Trump considered, along with Kavanaugh and Judge Raymond Kethledge. After Kavanaugh's selection in 2018, Barrett was viewed as a possible nominee for a future U.S. Supreme Court vacancy. Ginsburg died on 18 September 2020, and Barrett was widely mentioned as the front-runner to succeed her. On 26 September 2020, Trump nominated Barrett to the Supreme Court. Barrett's nomination was generally supported by Republicans, who sought to confirm Barrett before Election Day. She was a favorite among the Christian right and social conservatives. Democrats generally opposed the nomination, and were opposed to filling the court vacancy during the 2020 presidential election campaign, in which voting was already underway in many states at the time of the nomination proceedings. Democrats were angered by the move to fill the vacancy in a presidential election year only 35 days prior to the election, as the Senate Republican majority had refused to consider President Barack Obama's nomination of Merrick Garland in 2016, more than 9 months before the end of his presidency. In October, the American Bar Association rated Barrett well qualified for the Supreme Court opening, its highest rating. The ABA confined its evaluation to the qualities of integrity, professional competence, and judicial temperament. Barrett's Supreme Court nomination ceremony was notable for being a part of the White House COVID-19 outbreak. On October 5, Senator Lindsey Graham formally scheduled the confirmation hearing, which began on October 12 as planned and lasted 4 days. On October 22, 2020, the Judiciary Committee reported her confirmation favorably by a 12-0 vote, with all 10 Democrats boycotting the committee meeting. On October 25, the Senate voted along almost exact party lines to end debate on the confirmation. On October 26, the Senate confirmed Barrett to the Supreme Court by a vote of 52-48. Every Republican senator except Susan Collins voted in favor of the nomination, whereas every member of the Senate Democratic Caucus voted in opposition. Barrett's confirmation vote was the first since 1870 to succeed without receiving a single vote from the Senate minority party. Barrett became the 103rd Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States on October 26, 2020. Following the confirmation vote, President Trump hosted a swearing-in ceremony at the White House. As Barrett requested, Justice Clarence Thomas administered the oath of office to her, thus completing the first of 2 necessary oaths. She is scheduled to take the judicial oath on 27 October 2020. In 1999, Barrett married fellow Notre Dame Law School graduate Jessie M. Barrett, a partner at Southbank Legal, Le Duc Curran Kuhn LLC, in South Bend, Indiana, and a law professor at Notre Dame Law School. Previously, Jessie Barrett had worked as an assistant U.S. attorney for the Northern District of Indiana for 13 years. The couple lives in South Bend and has 7 children, 2 of whom were adopted from Haiti, 1 in 2005 and 1 after the 2010 Haiti earthquake. The youngest biological child has Down syndrome. Jessie's aunt assisted with childcare in their home beginning when the eldest was about 1 year old. Barrett is a practicing Catholic. She was raised in the Christian parachurch community People of Praise, an ecumenical covenant community founded in South Bend. Associated with the Catholic Charismatic Renewal movement but not formally affiliated with the Catholic Church, about 90 of its approximately 1,700 members are Catholic. In People of Praise, Barrett has served as a lay pastoral women's leader. Barrett has voted in both Republican and Democratic primaries. She tested positive for COVID-19 in the summer of 2020 and has since recovered. During her Senate Judiciary Committee confirmation hearings, Barrett said that her family owns a pet chinchilla. Biography taken from Wikipedia. Please subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.